you know, we are going to continue eating during the agenda for this evening. But again, the food is fantastic. Do turn up in person because it's definitely worth it. We have a great full house tonight and a great lineup for this evening. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Laura Hemingway Show. Seems to feature in pretty much the entire evening, which is perfect. Okay, right. First of all, we have to point out that this is being recorded, so those who don't want to be in camera, please disconnect yourselves. Okay, and the agenda. Right. So, for those who have been to these events before, we know that we like to introduce our guests. I have pre-warned, I think, all my guests this evening. So just a quick word about who you are, what you do, who invited you, and if you do want to say a little story about yourself, except for not the amazing next week. You go where you have to be this week. Hello, everybody. Is this on? It is actually on. Don't worry. And I'm here with the company Innovative Health Solutions, and I am a leader with them in designing the software and the technology aspects that we are creating and bringing to the market. And Alan Dunn is who invited me. And I believe it's very good. Oh, this is her reward. Right, we're going to go to this table. Not the easy next people. This would be it. Good evening. Good evening, everybody. I'm Rob Bilo. I am the program director for AZNet, which we'll be hearing a little bit more about tonight. I'm a guest of Laura, so got the Laura show. And since I'm not allowed to tell a story, we can if you want. Told the story. Okay, you're going to pass the microphone over here, but not the AZNet people because we'll then get you introduced. So, who else do we have here?
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Cindy Major Martinez. My company is Accelerate Now. I'm a business coach and consultant. But prior to launching this business, I owned an IT company here in Phoenix for 18 years. And then launched another one, which took me to Washington, D.C., which is still operating back there. And I was invited by Laura Hemingway. And something interesting about me is I grew up in Saline, Arizona. Has anybody here ever been to Saline?
So you must be from here.
Yeah, so you know, there's not even a stoplight. It's halfway between Flagstaff and Kingman, and I grew up on a cattle ranch. So how I ended up in technology.
We have another guest tonight, Big Ben.
I'm going to have you back for Laura. How many interesting stories growing up in a cattle ranch?
All right. That's as much reading as I'll give my good friend Big Ben. Very nice. Thank you very much, guys. We're all going to meet the other guests very shortly as well. So thank you very much. Okay, program summary. I'm going to hand over to my good friend Derek. Who's going to talk about that.
I'll keep this quick. As you can see, we've got some great programs coming up. So along with the in-person / hybrid, we've got virtual meetings as well. So for each of the in-person, we offer a virtual in the following week. So the third week of the month, we offer virtual. So please come and attend those. Again, our team behind the scenes is getting good people to come to those and to increase the value of those programs. For the next one, we've got Future of Work. So in March, for those that are wondering what Future of Work is, originally it was Back to Work. And as we know, there's so many different versions of what work is for all of us. And so This is to address that and to come and talk about all those different versions. We have a sponsor for that. The PMO Squad is actually sponsoring that event. And then the next is leadership coaching. So leadership coaching, Mary Patrick is going to be doing a deep down dive on becoming a leader, right? If you become a leader, who's going to tell you what to do? Or how are you going to learn some of the things quickly? Because you're going to be put in the fire very quickly. So Mary will be doing that. And then obviously following on from that, we'll have a virtual meeting for that on that topic. So join us for these programs as they.
Thank you very much, Derek. That's excellent. Thank you very much. Right, membership renewals. Well, come and talk to us about the looming deadline.
Yeah, right. Makes it sound so ominous. So the deadline for renewing, if you are a member from last year, is the end of March. If you have any questions about it, let me know. I'll remind everybody we do have the members in transition available if that's something that would fit for anybody. Anybody visiting, it's great to have visitors here. So thank you very much for coming and checking us out. Sorry, my director's telling me to move. Thank you for checking us out. The membership is actually not that expensive. You might be surprised. I think there's a lot of benefit. I'd love to tell you more about it. For anybody on the board, you can talk to any of us. We'd love to tell you about it. But yeah, thank you for coming. And if you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you very much. We've missed a slide. There we go. I told you it was going to be Laura Hemingway's show. And first thing is I want to say a great thank you to Laura for stepping up to be our new treasurer. And I do want to say publicly thanks to Darren Conson, who's been doing that role up to this point. Dan's unfortunately got some other commitments and we want to make time, so he's heading over to you next week, I think.
Next week, we're doing
Fantastic, thank you very much. Okay. All right, and we're back to Laura again. So Laura's going to be covering a couple of things. One is she is the keynote tonight. We're really looking forward to that, but she's also going to introduce an incredible program actually. And the folks are involved with it, so I'm going to let you do that. I'll play the camera.
Okay, thank you so much. And,
Well, feedback.
oh,
Actually, come on here.
I'll follow you around with the mic.
Is
Is that on?
So we good? Can everyone hear me? Okay, great. All right. So thank you everybody for being here this evening. Yes, as everyone heard, we have a large AC Next contingency tonight. And I'm so very pleased that the board allowed them to join us. And special shout out to Dr. Dan for being able to elevate exposure to the group. So thank you so very much for that. So there are two people that I want to introduce very quickly that are leading the program, and one you met earlier, which is Rob Gilo, who is the program manager, and Amy O'Reilly, who is the project manager, and she does a lot of business as well. So if you two could please stand and maybe Amy say a brief word. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
So I know Rob introduces us previously, we're very close with Rob on the business on Amy O'Reilly. I'm the project manager research that's tied specifically to developing internships or apprenticeships within IT, cybersecurity, data analytics, or in the fields. So we're looking for really innovative ways to close the skills gap, get people trained from diverse backgrounds, and build programs that will today to upskill, reskill, and enhance learning to really foster this technical community.
Thank you so very much. So the next person I'd like to introduce is Jason Nichols, who is he's associate professor at ASU WP Carey, and he's also a liaison to AZ Next. He's going to tell us a little bit about AZ Next and the first inaugural cohort for the IABA that's coming up, and our future scholars there. So Jason, if you would be so kind as to do that. And who's doing the slides? Okay. Oh, I am? Oh. Oh, no, can you play it? Here we go, there's Jason.
I'm fortunate enough to be the Sim Scholar of the Month #1. No, it's a pleasure to be here, Laura. Thank you so much for bringing us here, and specifically, and I know that they'll thank you as well, but bringing Paloma and Jeff here as well is just a fantastic opportunity for us to share a little bit about what we're up to. So I know that AZ Next shared a big picture for you folks in a previous meeting, what we're all about. I want to specifically share just a few thoughts, and I'll only take a minute, but a few thoughts on a program that we recently have some graduates coming out of. So we have a business analyst training program, and this program is, again, a non-traditional pathway where we look for people with very strong talents that don't exist in the business space and would like to transition into the business space, and then we work to give them a foot in the door. Very briefly, in terms of how that program is structured, we have core curriculum that we actually worked with a major consulting firm to build what was almost, not quite, but almost an onboarding program for them to do the same thing, take people that were not in business, train them up in business analysis, and then they very much hired right out of that population. Hired? Okay. I appreciate it. So we had a lot of success with that program. We ended up landing a number of folks in that consulting firm, and that is the foundation for this program. But we've opened it up to a much broader audience now. So we have our foundation of the curriculum and hands-on activities. We've mapped it now to a certificate, so all of these folks will be ready for and walk away with the IIBA, the first IIBA certificate as well. And then the part that was the most exciting and the part that was the most rewarding was amazing people like Laura were willing to help us out with this program and come every week for 12 weeks. We had guests come and share all of that context about what the world is like when they get out there. And that's the kind of experience when you build these training programs that if you're just running through an online program or you're just focused on the skills, you miss so much. So Laura specifically, and then many people that share the same sort of mentality as Laura and interest in collaborating with the university, giving back to so many people, have made, I think, one of the most important contributions to this program. And we have so many great folks that are about to graduate from that program. I'm excited to share a couple of them with you here tonight as well. I don't know, Laura, do you want me to introduce?
Yes, please.
Absolutely. So let's hit the slide so I know who the second person is. Oh, she's also the STEM Scholar of the Month. Yes, we tied Paloma. That's fantastic. So I'd like to introduce Paloma Greenwald, and I will let you go ahead and share some thoughts.
First, I just have to say a huge thank you, obviously, to Jason and all the AZ Next people, Laura in particular, I think, who was very kind to take me under the wing and make this opportunity possible. So I'm a registered nurse of 20-something years, and I'm a sun devil, right? I got my bachelor's in nursing here at ASU a long time ago. In the meantime, my husband has been in the Air Force, and through his service as a military spouse, I have bounced around a lot. And we are just now at the point through his retirement that I have some control over what comes next. And for me, it's sort of a, stage 2, sort of a bonus transition. And Jason clearly opened my eyes to so many opportunities. So thank you for that. And it's a pleasure to be here with all of you.
My name is Jeff. I again want to thank Laura for inviting both Paloma and I here. It has been a great opportunity. I know her speech that we heard was awesome, so I learned so much. I am currently transitioning, I suppose, mid-career, kind of like Paloma. I've been a manager in a family company, so you're kind of everything, but I'm everything in a family company that we're kind of winding down. So I'm looking for like kind of next step, and I've always been interested in data or how businesses work. So this was a great opportunity with AZ Next to kind of get those initial skills to figure out what I want to do. So this opportunity has opened up a lot of information that I had no idea what happened before. Really, if you're not in the business world or in information technology, you don't really know, you just hear the news. So this has been, all the speakers, Laura, all the other ones, even the course we were with, it really made
Yeah, I think so.
Raghu, are you on?
Yes, I'm on. Thank you very much for featuring AZ Next as part of the SIM meeting, and a big thanks to Jason, Rob, and team for starting this cohort. But this is one of many that we will be offering, and there are quite a few different programs that are coming up. And one of the things that we are trying to increase awareness for is that ASU is not just known for the degree programs, but it's also responsive to the immediate needs of both the career seekers as well as the employers. So to the extent that we can be a partner and work on these kinds of programs, and the Department of Labor Investment really helps us do that. And we are really glad that we can offer these programs and then continue to do that in the next coming years. So again, thanks for this opportunity to showcase what we are doing, and hopefully more of these things to come, and many more SIM scholars from ASU that will show up hopefully in these slides.
Dragan, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Actually, do we have Martin online as well? Because we do. Hey, Martin. I had forgotten to ask you to introduce yourself. Are you able just to say a couple of words as one of our guests tonight?
Yeah, hey, I'm sorry. It is a little hard to hear everybody. I'm trying to follow along, but and my apologies. I hope to be at the next in-person meeting. But hey, everyone, I'm Martin Mazer. I'm a Senior Vice President and Chief Information Security Officer for Entertainment Partners. I also have IT under me as well, so I kind of carry both hats. We're a large payroll and services provider for the entertainment industry. Our customers are the major movie studios, production houses. I've been a SIM member for several years now in the LA area, and we moved to, my wife and I moved to Scottsdale here about a year and a half ago, and hoping to get to know everybody in the Phoenix area to continue the discussions. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it, Martin. Thank you. And nice to see Diane and Michael and Karen. Anna knew you. Very nice. Okay, right, we're going to pass over to our main event for this evening, just as the main course arrives. Good timing. So Laura is going to talk to us about business transformation and business process management and analytics and all that good stuff. So first of all, can we just do a sound check? Can everybody hear Laura?
Testing.
Sounds good.
Can you hear me?
Martin's putting his thoughts. So
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Okay, over to you, Laura.
Right, thank you. So when we were talking about this presentation amongst our board members, we were saying, what are we really calling this thing? And the title is like incredibly boring or domineering or whatever, but business transformation through process intelligence and technology transformation. That is a major mouthful, right? So what are we really talking about? So let's talk about, what are we talking about? These three terms can mean so much. So let's start with business transformation. Can somebody share what they think or what they believe business transformation is? Does someone have a thought about that? I mean, it covers such a massive universe. So you have a thought?
Oh, I think something amazing next one like this. Put you on the spot.
Not to put you on the spot, but does somebody have a thought about what business transformation actually means?
Well, I would say it's, business basically changes with the times as technology is changing. And businesses are stagnant or staying what they were using 10, 15 years ago.
Okay, great. That's definitely. Oh, I'm sorry. I just didn't.
What about for business transformation? It's really about people, process, and technology.
I've always said yes, business process and technology in that order.
Yes.
All right, very good. Okay.
Very good. Thank you. Okay. So that's one version of technology, a couple of versions of what business technology is. Can we, technology transformation, that's usually the easy one for us, right? Because that's the all needs results. And that's what we love to do. We love to get new toys, and we love to get new tools and new software to play with, because that's just the nature of who we are. So do we need to explain more about technology transformation to this group? Probably not. It's like, okay, I don't put it in the ERP or I'm gonna get a new fun AI tool or whatever. That's kind of who we are. We love to play. So our focus traditionally has been, give us a new toy, let's go play, and let's go build something. Okay, so let's talk about process intelligence. What's your definition of process intelligence? What does that mean to you? Someone speak to that? I just realized I didn't know. Can someone speak to process intelligence?
Hello, I'm glad we're having this time.
Well, I guess I would have to answer with the systematic method, the methodology involved with evaluating the current practice and identifying time, all the steps in order to get a more ideal future state.
Good. Any other thoughts on what process intelligence actually, what it means to you? Any other thoughts? Okay, so let's move on to the context of how we're viewing these terms this evening. So if we can move over. So for the sake of tonight's conversation, process intelligence is the ability to understand business processes and knowing how to use them effectively. We're drilling it down to that very simple statement. You know, today we're all these terms about process mining and process this and all that. I mean, when you're talking to people that have been in technology as long as I have, which is embarrassingly long, it's like we're always talking about the same things over and over and over again. They're just given different names and different terms. So for tonight's conversation, this is the definition of process intelligence. So this very mind-numbing slide talks about the levels of process intelligence within the organization, and they go from level 1 to level 5. So level 1 is pretty much there's not really a consciousness over what's happening with the processes within the organization. People just do what they do to get their job done, to get their singular function done, and that's how they. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm a walker. Okay. And so that goes from level 1 to level 2, which is there's some organization, to level 3, there's most processes are organized, to level 4, processes are managed in a very nice way, there's a COE established, and level 5 is that is the main function of the company, and the COE and the C-suite are on board with process intelligence and building that within an organization. So if you think about your own company and how you're working, think about how you would rank yourself in the level 1 through 5. Right? Think, what are we really? A lot of people would like to say, oh yeah, we're 3 or 4 or whatever. But in reality, most companies are maybe lucky if they're sitting around a level 2. Is there anyone that can speak to maybe an organization that they're working with now that is at a higher level? Can anyone speak to that? Anyone online speaking? So there we are, right? 90% of people are at level 2. And so what we're going to be talking about today is an organization, a little case work here, that has committed themselves to a level 5, which is extraordinary to even think about going there, but that's their target. And so this is our definition of process intelligence for the evening's discussion. Okay, so the business transformation scenario that I'd like to share with you, and let me just kind of like back step a little bit on why I even brought this up. So as you all know, I've been involved with Paradigm Solutions for over 20 years. But through that time frame, I've been both a consultant and a full-time employee. And this is a company here in the Valley that also has its corporate outside of Chicago. And I was recruited to be a full-time employee, which I do on occasion for large initiatives. And I was originally brought in to kind of work with the ERPs and kind of right the ship on the ERPs and make sure there was a lot of governance around it. When they learned of my background, I was brought in to do a couple of other things. One is to reorganize the PMO to build the BPM COE, to bring in BPMS software, and to lead the business transformation team. So, and to deal with the legacy software. So so once I realized I got in there, a lot got added on. So that's why I'm targeting this particular case study today, because this was a key, this was our very first win. This is our very first process that we went after. So this scenario was, this is a $24 billion company, 25,000 employees, Fortune 10 privately held. That's pretty darn big, right? Now it had gone through acquisition. So there was 12 plus divisions with individual presidents and P&L. So can you imagine trying to manage that? So they had their own P&L, their own bonus programs, their own way they do things. So everybody was very singular, it was very siloed. Nothing was integrated within the company. 12 different universes within this. And whenever I see everybody shaking their head, yeah, been there, done that, because we've all been in situations where it's grown like that, and we're having to deal with the situation and trying to homogenize and bring everybody together. Top it off, they're preparing for an IPO. So there's a lot going on here, right? It's a large company preparing for an IPO, not even close to being able to deal with the due diligence that was before them and being able to support the IPO. So we want to go on to the next one. So they're taking a step back. They get a new CIO, they get a lot of new C-suite leadership, and they're saying, okay, what is really going on here? How can we show potential investors that we are something to look at, that we really need to be acknowledged as a company that you want to invest in? First thing, commitment to customer first. No matter what, the customer is the most important. We've gotten used to awesome customer support right now. You know, you walk into Nordstrom's, you know, you call Amazon most of the time, I'm gonna say most of the time, whatever, but you know, it's like customer first oriented. And so with that in mind, they targeted the top 10 processes that were adversely affecting the customers. And they gave a massive commitment to process improvement. So much so that they built out an entire business transformation team and building a BPM Center of Excellence. And with that BPM Center of Excellence, they also did a commitment to technology transformation by bringing in business process management systems and BPM documentation tools. There was an entire floor of people in Rosemont, Illinois, totally dedicated to documenting and creating a process encyclopedia of current state processes. That's how committed they were. And a lot of you would go, are you crazy? Why would you spend so much energy going after this? Let me give you a little story. I got to meet the ladies that were involved with the Pfizer-Cerner merger. And if you think about how massive that was, well, Pfizer had gone through all the work of documenting all their business processes and then creating an entire encyclopedia with all of the rules and everything that was in there. So when it came time to merge the companies, they just sat down and said, okay, here's our existing processes. And they were able to compare them, maybe make some diversions, maybe not. And everybody had to sign off on it. But it was a fantastic baseline in which to manage the merger. And considering that this company was so merger-oriented and acquisition-oriented, they considered the investment well worth getting those processes noted. And then another technology transformation that was going on, we were doing master data management. So we were creating a standard user experience. Oh, that's double. Sorry, UX is, sorry, double. X is, sorry about the X experience there. You had literally made, remember this is frightening. There still exists, and you all know that, mainframes with the green screens. They're still out there. All right? I know you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so how do you take that, do screen scrapes, create nice UX environments? So they were trying to create something so that's very standard to the user and nice menu-based things. So all that initiative was going on at the same time. And then replacing the clunky legacy systems. There was an AR system that just would make the COBOL code behind that makes your head spin. And then a very clunky procurement system as well were two of the targeted ones. So simultaneously to the business initiative and preparing for an IPO, we were also doing major technology transformation. So we were busy, really, really busy. Okay, let's go on. So the scenario I'd like to talk about this evening, but it's so simple. It's like, how hard can this be? So it's the credit debit memo request. And so what causes this? I'm a mom and pop on a small restaurant in Tempe, Arizona, and I rely on the company to deliver my food and supplies on a daily basis. And so that's what this company does. They were a restaurant supply company. And I have on my special of the day tuna salad on tomato. That's the example I like to do. And when the truck finally gets to my restaurant and the driver puts the boxes on the dolly to come in, and the box shows up and the tomatoes are rotten or crushed, I am not a happy camper. I'm a small restaurant. I can absorb this. I've already advertised a special of the day. I've got some little teeny website that's like blowing this out so that I can do orders. So what happens? So what would you expect the premier customer service experience to be if you're that restaurant and you have a bad product? What would you expect the best outcome from that?
Instant like websites doing bad tomatoes, instant credit.
Very good. Right. So they want to report that, get instant credit, and then to even top it off, you would have a delivery person and somebody totally dedicated to re-delivering the bad product, right? So that's the premier experience. We are so sorry this happened. We're on it. You know, the truck's on the way to you. Hope we'll get there in time. And then, but then say, oh, but I need it now. Well, there's an Albertsons across the street. So go pick out your beautiful organic tomatoes. We'll reimburse you. And so that's the premier customer service experience, right? Acknowledge, don't even argue with the customer. Make it right. That's the first priority, make it right. That's not what's going on here. What's going on here is way after the fact is that they would have to call into their sales rep. The sales rep would say, okay, let me see what I can do about it. No reconciliation for the current emergency situation that's going on in this small restaurant's mind. And so they would fill out a form, literally, not a lie, take up to 30 plus days to approve just even a credit to their account and involve up to 10 people. That is just, it's crazy. So they were receiving a lot of customer complaints on this process, and there was limited visibility into the root cause. Like, how can you go from this to this to this so that by the time it showed up to the customer, it was rotten? How did that even happen? How was that even allowed to happen? So again, no visibility into root cause. So this was our inaugural process for the business transformation team, taking advantage of our cool tools and the corporate commitment to the business process transformation. It's important to note that when I say corporate commitment, I mean corporate commitment. The C-suite, everybody from top on down was totally dedicated. We will have one process throughout the company, period. Everybody is empowered to make their decisions. Everybody must work together to make this happen. This was corporate directive. It is rare. So, I mean, we've all been doing this forever. It is so rare that you get such a luscious corporate directive to be able to work with it. And so this was a great joy to have. And so my strategy in leading the team, because I had VPs of finance, I had drivers, I had warehouse workers, all 40 plus people on a call 3 times a week for however many weeks it took for everybody to agree on a single automated process. And my job, did I sit there in a room with my really hard Six Sigma hat or my Kaizen methodology or all of those things? No. I know all those things. And literally in my gut, I knew what the future state process needed to look like. But it wasn't for me to say that. It was for them to figure it out on their own. So my job was to let them steer the ship, and I was just the wave that would kind of just like kind of nudge them in a direction here or there. And it was really enlightening for them to hear about each other's stories and why they felt they needed to be involved with the process. What data was important to them? At what point in time was it important to them to be involved with this process? So they were able to come up with the ultimate end result and agree as a team as to how this should work. Okay, good? So we went from 30 plus days to 30 seconds, and I'm even being generous with that. Some of them went to 48 hours, and that was only because of the dollar limit and maybe having to go through the levels of approval. And I note here KPI tolerance and abuses. The reason why the previous CDMR process was so heavy is because they wanted to know what was the root cause. Are we sure that sales reps are taking advantage of the situation? Are we sure that customers aren't abusing? There was such a negative.
Just finish, just a minute, I'll get the phone to your mom.
I'm not hearing you. So there was like for like a $27 billion company, why are you obsessing about $25 credit memo? But it was amazing, the obsession here. So when people were able to lighten up from that, so what we were able to do, because I already knew what the tool could do. So we put in this really cool EPMS backbone. We were able to build in, it was totally configurable. So we could change like the tolerances and build nice dashboards around it. So what happened was that people just wanted to be aware. The warehouse, when did the warehouse people know that that was bad, or was it a procurement problem? So we were able to start to drill down on root cause, but what do you think happens when you start to work backwards, right? This is the end. So we're working backwards to the process. So what happened was that we noted that there was not visibility to the true process from order to cash, from procure to pay. All those thousands of steps in between were lost. We had gone to the end. So it allowed us to target the points midstream of the process to say, okay, what really has value, and bring those into the next task that we were going to, the next processes that we were going to target. Okay, so we're good? Any questions so far? No, I'm very conscious of time, so I'm moving quickly, so if you're going. So the continuous commitment here was that we were aligned to the corporate goals, continually supporting the business transformation, consistently increase the level of process intelligence of the organization. Because think about it. You have all these people, you have the drivers, the warehouse workers, the VP of finance, all involved with building a singular future state process. Think about that level of process intelligence that immediately got raised within the organization. Combine that with the C-level commitment to that. And now you have these change agents that are also very involved with the other non-targeted processes. So it took several weeks to get this one done, but you can bet, right? Future ones were a lot easier because if we trust the process, we know we're going to get what we want, and we are the leaders. It's not for me to lead. It's not for IT to lead. It's for the business to lead. And sometimes we forget that. We are just a role in the business. I think Simon says it best. If your company is bankers, you're a banker. Your job, your role just happens to be technology within the banking industry. And we need to think about that. We serve at the pleasure of the business. If it wasn't for the business, we wouldn't be there. And we need to keep our eye on that. Okay, so my little paragraph there. And then we incorporate, and then the total incorporation into corporate culture. So when you, again, the PMO, so we included the processes and the center of excellence into the PMO. Job description, when you're out getting new talent, process aware, process intelligence, incorporating those words into your job description so that when you're recruiting, They're recruiting that talent and they understand the importance of that into the organization. Incentives. So, you know, if you're working in the warehouse and you notice that there's a problem with your order to cash, or procure to pay processes, wherever you're involved with all that, to feel empowered, to say, raise your hand and say, wait a minute, there's a problem here. And to provide an incentive and encouragement to raise your hand and empower you to do that. And then publicizing it. If you have a corporate newsletter or whatever, say, hey, the warehouse team, you know, in Illinois, look at them, they targeted this, and you did for them for improving this process. So just really making a part of your culture is a big move. Okay. Again, somebody with a perfect line into this earlier. People process technology. We did it over and over and over again. That's what we're about. So our key takeaways are: make your people first. We're messing with this world. Can you imagine how hard it was for these people? They were managing these pieces of paper for 30 plus days to give that up, to agree and trust the system and to trust the triggers. That was very hard for them. We're messing with these worlds, with the worlds that these companies for 10 plus years. And so you have to be very aware, very conscious. Our job is 90% technology, 10% technology, right? People, people, people. So empower the people on the process, make sure the processes. Oh, sorry. Okay, and the processes support actionable data points. We talk a lot about analytics. We talk a lot about data mining. But our processes and our gathering our data points, are they really working for us? Are they really gathering what's necessary? So let's make sure our processes have those stop points that give us that information that's valuable. And then technology. Our job is to listen and support. Listen and support. Advise. You know, be the wave that gets in the way every so often. Okay, and I think that's it. And we're close. Yay. All right. So thank you so much. Any questions? Any thoughts? No, we're good?
Laura, the guys remote, I know we had a little bit of audio problems. I hope it wasn't too bad. I hope you could hear it properly, especially with this handheld. Any questions for Laura?
No. Good.
Questions, comments? Interesting.
I have a question. So when you're going through this process, I can only imagine that those closest to, say, the product have been aware of this forever. I would think that thing where they, the empowerment or the fear, whatever. Is that pretty common? Is that on? I mean, it seems like ever since I was, a kid working, there was always somebody that said, I don't know why the heck we do it this way. It's so obvious. It makes so much sense. But I don't know. I would think that would be common.
Yes, it is very common. Absolutely. I mean, we see it everywhere. No matter what job function you're talking about, whether it's the warehouse. I see it in accounting all the time. Accounts receivable and accounts payable departments. My top two pet peeves. It's like, what are you doing? What is going on in there? And so, yes, and so people say that all the time. I don't know what we're doing. This is company policy. This is the way we're told to do it, and I don't know why. And they moan and they groan, and they always have better ideas. So a key part of that is empowering them with no fear to speak up and add value to the corporate directive. Or say, hey, let's make all this better. So that's a really good point. Yes, it's very common.
I think it's such a powerful statement, and thanks for making that. Because you imagine this supply chain that Laura described, right? How many people saw, touched, handled that commodity as it's going through the process? Somebody would have spotted it was a problem, right? So why didn't they say anything? Their job, they're empowered, they were told not to, they want to keep their head down, whatever. So I think it's a great, absolutely fantastic point. Laura, thanks so much. That was very thought-provoking. Don't forget, we have a session a week. What was the actual day? The 23rd. 23rd. It's going to be a networking session for us online. Let's get together. Let's talk about some of our horror stories, because there must be some horrendous horror stories in this area. I can think of a few already myself.
So please do attend that. It's good fun. You know, get yourself a glass of wine at home or whatever you do, and it's a good fun environment, right? So it should be in everybody's calendar. Is it a repeating meeting we have, or we send a reminder? We'll send a reminder. All right. So can we just give a great hand of thank you for Well, I hope the folks in Zoom land enjoyed it. You did miss an incredible meal. And by the way, there is still some dessert, guys. So please stick around. We're on any time crunch here. Thank you again. Really appreciate you coming down and making this a packed environment for us. We love this venue. We love you coming here and making it a really good event for us all. We'd love to see you again next month. Great topics coming up for the whole remaining year. For those who are traveling back tonight, safe trip back home. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon. Thanks. And thank you so much to the online folks. Thank you.